Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Princess of Aesthetically Princess, and today, if you can't tell by the title, I recently went on a trip during quarantine. So today we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that I did to set up for said trip. I have a pack with me of the things I packed for said trip. Excuse the noise, I do not live in a quiet household. But today I am going to just kind of go through all of the processes that went down on how safe that this trip ended up being. So one more thing, I know I've been talking about doing a ginormous haul for some small businesses that I have bought from, but because one of my orders is literally has been taking over a month to try and get to me and it's still not here, I'm gonna just have to scrap that entire video. So we're just gonna do an accumulation of all of the things I've bought from small businesses this year at the end of this year. So yeah, scrap that video. So let's actually get into the video. So first things first is, where the fuck did I go? So I actually went on a quarantine road trip from about 6 hours from where I live, from Georgia to North Carolina, Charleston. It was beautiful. I wish I would have got you guys more clips, but I didn't think to film it because I wanted to vlog it, but mentally was not stable. We'll talk about it. But like I said, I went to Charleston in North Carolina. It was, like I said, it was a 6-hour trip, and we ended up being in a very cramped car the entire time, so it was not a lot of fun. It wasn't the best idea for me personally. One, I have horrible motion sickness, and being in such a tight enclosed space for so long just didn't work well with my body. I was having actual need to hurl my guts out. It was horrible. I hated it. But the ride, even though the ride was horrible there and back, because I have really bad hip and knee problems, so again, sitting in a car for 6 hours and being in a car most of the time that I was there, just kind of was not physically the best idea I've had this year. Now, even though I went to Charleston, it was absolutely beautiful. I completely thought it was one of the most gorgeous places I've seen. I liked the way it was set up at the time. How did we spend most of our trip? We spent it eating and shopping. That was literally what we did. But it was all a lot safer than you would think it was. First of all, we didn't go by flight, because I know a lot of people have been like, oh, we're going to fly to another place to go have vacation, but I feel like flying is a lot more dangerous because it's a lot more people in such an enclosed space. There's no real air out to help with COVID, which is something that you should know. Being outside during COVID-19, even with a mask on, isn't 200% safe, but it is better for COVID to have breathing air and distancing, of course, on the streets and things like that, because I walked a little bit, and like I said, if you're outside a lot more, it helps than being in such an enclosed tight space where the air is trapped and things like that. But so on and so forth, we did enjoy our trip. So as for COVID-19 pandemic setup, the place that we went to was the Hyatt Palace Hotel. We used Hyatt because that's just where our family as a whole kind of just is oh, if I need to go somewhere, I'm probably going to stay at the Hyatt. So we ended up staying at Hyatt Palace, and Hyatt Palace had a really good COVID-19 setup and things like that. They had sanitizer in a lot of places just throughout the entire building, and then they had wet wipes to wipe things down. Where we were staying, we stayed in a small little suite, so it had a kitchen within the room. As for things traveling around other travelers, they had a thing in place at their Hyatt hotel, which was each corner of the elevator could only have maximum of 4 people, unless it was a family, and then the entire family had to be in one with no other people. So it was a lot easier for us to get around. It was 5 of us. There's 5 of us, so it's a lot easier for us to get around. It was a tiny bit of a wait for having to go throughout the hotel and elevators and things like that, but I don't think we had any neighbors to each side of us. So I don't think we had any neighbors to each side, or up or above and below, but I think we had neighbors on the same hallway. Like I said, it was really good. It was great social distancing. It was social distancing. Also, they did serve breakfast, but it wasn't a buffet breakfast. They had packaged oatmeal, packaged muffins, oranges, and some apple juice, and then some tea and coffee, but you had to mix it in your own cup and take it to your room. And you had to be, if you were in the hotel, you had to be wearing a mask. You really should have been wearing a mask. If you weren't wearing a mask, then it was just on you, but they asked that you please wear a mask. Also, Charleston happened to have a mask mandate, which means it was mandatory for you if you were outside of a building to, you know, have on a fucking masks. Again, not a lot of people, like, I guess, thought about it, but they did have cops in certain places. Like, there was like one bar, there was a restaurant that was a really high-end restaurant, I guess, that had a valet and then a cop that was checking people to have on their masks before they went inside. I was like, okay, cool by you. Do you, sis. Also in Charleston, even though we ate 3 places, let's talk about these 3 places and how different they were in the way they were set up. We went to 3 places. First place we went to was T-Bone. T-Bone is, like, I guess a really fancy, not fancy, food. 10 out of 10, I would give it like a 7. Food wasn't that great. It was okay, and the fries suck. The wait was long, but that was because they mostly didn't allow you inside. With, like, the way it was set up, it was like a person and then 2 tables separating that person, those people, and then another set of people. So it was a lot of takeout. Takeout was available, so they asked that you take out your food. It was over an hour wait, but, like, can you ask during such a time? Next door was also a kind of like a dessert cafe. Also, food was okay. It wasn't that great either, but overall, kind of just living life, living large. Now, we also went to a place called Dig. I can't remember what it's like supposed to be, but it's Dig in the park, and it was great. Food was awesome. I got tipsy. That's what you need to know. Bitch had a little bit of vodka and lemonade and 2 White Claws, and I chugged all of it down. So your girl was not with it, like, at all, but the food was awesome. Food was awesome. Tater tots were phenomenal. Everyone around my family all agreed the food was awesome. So 10 would recommend that restaurant, and they had a really good way that they had it set up. We sat outside, and even though it was like outside and all the flies and things like that, we didn't have anyone like close to us. So, like, there was someone across the room, but you couldn't really hear what they were saying. That's how far they were. You really couldn't hear people unless they were being extra loud. So, and you just heard kind of like noise. You just heard loud noise. You didn't really hear a conversation. It was actually pretty good. I liked that. I liked Dig in the park. It was great. The food, like I said, the food was awesome. So the way they social distance was awesome. All of their workers also had on masks, of course, so on and so forth. They asked that if you walked around, please have on your mask, but at your own table, you didn't have to wear it. So if you got up to go, like, to the bathroom, please have on your mask. Or you got up to go to the bar, please have on your mask. So on and so forth. Next place we went to was, what was that place called? I can't even remember. The food there was okay. As for their mask mandate, they didn't really need people to have masks, but the way they had their table set up was, here's a table here, the table right next to this one, empty. Table right next to this one, empty. But if there's a table on the other side of that empty table, both those tables were full. And they also asked that if you are walking around, please have on a mask. Also, all of their workers had on masks, and the mask had like the logo of the restaurant. So I'm guessing that they made masks specifically for their employees. Food was great. I enjoyed the food. My food was awesome. I don't know about my mom and my sister. They kind of like their food, but I enjoyed my food. My stepdad enjoyed his food, and my little brother enjoyed his food. So our food was pretty good. But we also, all 3 of us, got like the same thing. So our food was good. They, on the other hand, were like, I'm gonna be different. Their food was okay. That's on them. Now, as for safety going with our family and how we did things, we wore masks all the time. My mom actually made sure to make masks specifically for since we were leaving for 3 days, she made a mask for each day if we ever wanted to switch out masks. So we always had on a mask. She also took hand sanitizer with us, wet wipes to wipe things down, things like so on and so forth, things like that. So she carried around this like big thing of hand sanitizer in her purse, and she just like, y'all want some hand sanitizer? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. Cool. As for shopping, so like I said, we all had on our masks and things like that. We tried to make sure we social distance from people. So even if the other people were not taking their time to social distance from us, we would like move away. Cool. We tried to keep a lot of things in the car. We did a lot of takeout. We tried, like I said, tried to stay as far away as possible. We were really trying to take this seriously. Now, as for shopping, we went to the Tanger Hotel, the Tanger outlet. We went to outlets. We didn't go into malls. Like I said, COVID is better if you're outside and it has a place to breathe instead of being in a compact area. We went to the Tanger outlet both in Charleston, and then we went to the one in Savannah on our way back. My sister's coming. Her school is starting to open up soon, so she needed school clothes. She didn't really need school clothes, but we try and make sure that everybody got school clothes for school. Yeah, so we went to the Tanger outlet in Charleston, like I said, and then we went to Savannah. Savannah had a lot more things open. Charleston didn't have a lot of things open. Like their Forever 21 was closed down. Tanger, the one in Savannah, theirs was open. They just had a lot of things down. Like their Michael Kors was down. Their Coach was open, but their I think their Kate Spade was not open. In Savannah, everything was open, but they also didn't have a lot of people outside of the event, but so on and so forth. So as for going inside these places, their Nike was open. Nike specifically had like a handheld thing that counted how many people were within the building. I think they had like a thing of like maybe like 14 to 20 people, and literally they would count how many people that were in your group, put it in, and see how many of y'all could go in. I was like, oh, okay, if that's you, do you. So there's a line outside of Nike before you could go in. That was interesting. That was very interesting. Then I saw Bath and Body Works. They had someone standing outside making sure they had on a mask, and they would hand them like a basket, like a kind of like a throwaway basket, like a throwaway bag, like one of their like store bags, so they wouldn't like, you know, pick stuff up and keep reusing like the same basket, like put it in this bag and then take it to the cash register. Now, as for places like we went to a Tommy Hilfiger. They had an actual like a person standing at the door that would like, you know, let you in, kind of like if you were going to like a club or something. They had a little belt for you to go in and out, and they couldn't let people in without like, you know, having on hand, squeezing hand sanitizer onto their hands, such on and so forth. I think the most the one that took it the most seriously was their Forever 21 in Savannah. Forever 21 in Savannah, they had literally someone who would stop at the door, make sure to give the customers the run through, and like literally she was like, hey, we require that you keep on your mask at all times. Don't touch any of like the makeup, don't touch any of like the hair accessories, no, please don't put on any shoes, like don't put on any hats. We would appreciate if you tried to keep a 6-foot distance between all of you, between you and other customers. If another customer is making you uncomfortable and they're not keeping that distance, please let us know and we will escort them out. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool. Y'all taking this as seriously as possible. I appreciate that. Cool with me. I ain't got no problems. A lot of the places there, changing rooms were also closed, so that too. Changing rooms are closed in a lot of places. I don't think I saw one that didn't have like a closed changing room. We also went to a fabric store. This same fabric store, like this fabric store also had one of those, hey, when you walk in, please sanitize your hands, and when you walk out, please sanitize your hands for your safety. It was honestly a pretty chill behind trip, but like, you know, so on and so forth. This is just how we handled it. So as for like health reasons as to why this was also kind of a wild thing, I was under a lot of stress. I guess this putting on a stress for like someone who hasn't left their house since like quarantine, except to go to the grocery store and come back, like literally. And plus I work from home, so I went to the grocery store and I would come straight back home, or I would go pick up my mom from work and come home. Like we made stops to maybe the grocery store on our way home to grab things for food, but we didn't do anything leisurely. We haven't really seen a lot of our family members. We were supposed to go on a trip earlier this year to go see my great-grandmother, not my great-grandmother, my grandparents, just my grandparents, but they are at higher risk, so we didn't do that. That's not something that we should do because they are at higher risk, so that's a no. But my grandparents did come down 14 hours to handle some things for my great-grandmother, who passed in February, not due to COVID. She was just old. She was just old. So like it wasn't COVID's fault. She was already dealing with health problems that just were going to, yeah. Anyways, as for everything else during this trip, like I said, everything else was pretty good. Hotel services were really good for us. Again, for someone who has been on trips, this wasn't as different from our usual trips. Just a lot of masks, a lot of distance. a lot of waiting for a lot of things. It was a lot, everything that just had longer wait time. So if you were trying to plan your day and be like, oh, I'm going to do this quickly and this quickly, then we'll go do this, it's going to take a lot longer than you think because of how everything's been set up. Everything just takes slightly longer for the safety of you and the people around you. So it's going to take a lot more time for you to stand in line at places, or it's going to take you a lot longer to go look for something. I'm gonna just let you know. It was an interesting trip, but it was good for us to go outside. But again, mental health wise, I don't know if it was just the stress of COVID-19 or the stress of just me, period. But my body was like, bitch, I'ma shut down. Like, I was having horrible nausea. I was having bladder problems. That's TMI, but you needed to know this. I was also having problems with being in the car for so long. I'm going to say this, if you have not been in like a road trip in so long, it's gonna have a weird effect on your body. Being in the car for long periods of time, if you do it often like we did like every 3 months we'd go on like a long trip to somewhere, whether it was like an hour to 3 hours out. This was 6 hours, and I have not been on a trip since May of last year. Okay, and that trip was 3 hours, and I thought I was gonna die. This time it was almost as stressful as that trip, but this time I didn't think I was gonna die. I was just having stress of being in the car for the first time for such a long period of time. And plus, even though I haven't been in a car in a while, if I was usually when I am in a car, I was usually in the front seat and I was driving. This time I didn't drive because my parents were driving, so it was something else. I'm gonna say that. But if you ever take your time to go on a trip during COVID, I would recommend you go someplace where it was, not Florida. We just didn't want to go to Florida because, no, we're not going down there. I would recommend that you go on a trip, try and be as safe as possible. Do it as a road trip. You can go camping. I suggest you go camping. If anything, you're trying to get in your car and you just drive out into an area and just camp out for a few days. It's better for you to get out of the house. Do yourself that favor. Get out of the house for a long period of time. I don't care if you have like a staycation at like a hotel within your city or town, but like, just get out. I promise you, it will have a great reflection on your health. It's gonna take you a few days to recuperate on your when you get home, but like, Danneaburden will recommend you just have that moment of just stop. Okay. So guys, I hope this video was like informative in any type of way. I also hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any places that you've actually been during COVID-19, let me know, because I want to know how you went on your trip and how it went. I'm getting tired. That's why I kind of slowed down in this video. I was excited at the beginning, but now I'm tired. If you like this video, I guess share, comment, like, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye. All my social media is linked down below. Yeah. Okay, now, bye.